A Hiring Process Guide. Chapter 1. How do you find good workers to hire? Finding employees to hire. 1. When you get to your final few employee candidates for an important job, invite each to come in and work for you for a day while you watch them. Go to professional networking websites to look for employees. Take all employees for a test drive. Put them on probation for the first year. When setting out to hire someone, first of all define the job being offered as specifically as possible so that potential employees will know exactly what you're looking for. Advertise, get a pool of candidates, then before you interview them, plan out your interview. Write out a dozen or so questions you feel you should ask. Have information about the company ready for the potential employee, things like pay, bonuses, corporate culture, training, if applicable, job responsibilities, etc. The questions employers cannot ask during an interview are as follows: age, ancestry, citizenship, color, creed, criminal background, disability, family status, gender, marital status, national origin, public assistance recipient, race, religion, sexual orientation. The laws regarding hiring employees are as follows. Different agencies require that you keep paperwork regarding employees for different lengths of time, all the way from application forms to contracts and payroll records. The minimum period is 2 years. The maximum period is 10 years. What you're looking for is attitude, experience, maturity, stability, potential for longevity, leadership potential, technical skills. It all comes down to creating rapport with the individual. Use your intuition in deciding whether to hire someone or not. Check references, but don't be bound by them. The true test is who this person is standing in front of you. Look for someone who naturally lives an interesting life and enjoys the process of hard work. It's in their auras. Look for people similar to you ideologically. Don't hire big mouths, loud mouths, motor mouths, and bullshitters. Beware of arrogant people and people who promise the world but deliver considerably less. Don't hire bullies or scamming type people who want to take the easy way out. People are basic. They are either good workers or bad workers, positive or negative, winners or doers, givers or takers, etc. If you're unsure about someone, if they don't clearly seem like a good worker to you, do yourself a favor, tell them you will call, then keep interviewing until you find someone who looks like they respect themselves enough to be a good worker. As an employer, get a federal ID number and take care of the taxes you pay with each employee. Your job is to find qualified workers who can do the job. Some ways are: check out college and high school students through internships and co-op programs where they work for you for a few hours a week or for the summer, and if you come across good workers, offer them full-time jobs. Have a 90-day, 6-month, or even a year probation all spelled out in your rules and regulations. During this time period, you can either let this person go or make them full-time employees, which means they get all the regular benefits and can't be fired without going through the regular channels of disciplinary review. Place a help wanted advertisement on your website or corporate newsletter if you have one. Ask your top employees, business colleagues, and friends if they know a good worker looking for a job. Bring in interns, temps from temp agencies, and volunteers. If any of them are good, hire them. Take drop-ins seriously. They were motivated enough to come in. Network with local professionals, local business, and social service clubs. Place an ad through your free government employment agency. Place a classified ad in newspapers and magazine. Put a sign at your place of business. Place an ad on a job website. Use for-profit employment agencies and executive recruiters/headhunters to bring you qualified people. Go to job fairs to recruit workers. Go to schools and recruit there. Go to trade and professional organizations. For a job ad, put the date you're listing it, the name of your company and a brief description of what you do, a description of the job, necessary qualifications, pay and benefits, employment procedure. Get their application form/resume, have an interview, do a background check through credit and criminal records if you want, and go from there. If you want to hire freelancers instead of regular employees, state it in your ad. Post ads on freelance-type websites, then make sure you match the IRS's criteria for what constitutes an independent contractor, and go from there. This is one way to avoid tax headaches but could be shaky with the IRS. Because good workers are hard to find in specialized fields, it's sometimes very competitive for employers who have to offer the best package overall in order to attract top talent. Find out what the others are paying and either stay competitive or top them. Some other incentives are health and dental insurance, disability insurance, life insurance, pension, stock ownership, cash bonuses for completed projects, commissions, matching funds for a retirement savings plan. If you want to diversify your workplace with minorities, go to the minority employment websites. After you hire somebody, in order to stay legally sound, do the relevant things in this checklist. Fill out Immigration Form I-9 on the employee, immigration.gov/graphics/forms fee/forms. Have the employee go through a medical exam, if applicable. Have the employee fill out IRS Form W-4 and estate tax form, if applicable. Have the employee fill out Form EEO-1 relating to discrimination, eeoc.gov. Hand out a copy of the job description, your employee handbook and other policies, and verify that the employee reads it by making him or her sign a paper saying they did. Have the employee agree to sign an arbitration agreement, which will mean that if there is an employee-employer dispute, it will be resolved through arbitration rather than through the courts. Have the employee sign non-compete and confidentiality agreements, not sharing trade secrets, if applicable. Take care of health insurance if you offer a group policy. Start up employee benefits. After an employee is hired, an employer has 20 days to register the new employee in the new hires database used to track child support cheats. Try LinkedIn.com, go to Job Insider. Finding employees to hire to. Be clear on what exactly you are looking for out of this new employee. Write it up in your ad. Space is free on websites like Craigslist.org. You can pay a headhunter if you want, but all I ever do is go to Craigslist, find the jobs category and post my ad up of who I'm looking for, and I always get at least a dozen responses. Mind you, I'm not looking for a specialist. I'm usually looking for a basic website designer or word processor. You might be tempted to outsource some work to some guy in India for $10 an hour, but I prefer dealing with people face to face. One of the easiest ways to find a new worker is to ask your current employees if they know someone with that skill looking for a job. If you want general labor, look for a local group that helps new immigrants, then tell them you're looking for a new employee. You can go to any church and ask the priest if he knows anyone looking for a job. I went with my father one time to the front of the Salvation Army homeless shelter. He hired some guy. The guy got his first paycheck and we never saw him again. Don't hire homeless bums. They're bums because they choose to be. If you offer a bum a job, he might go with you to case out your joint to break in later. If you're looking for a specialist, the closer the person lives to you, the better off you'll both be. There is nobody that special in virtually every occupation that you need to go more than a few hundred miles to find a good one who can do the job. Research scientists and a few other fields are highly specialized, but everything else is pretty generic. Retirees can turn out to be good workers. Look for a local senior website and post an ad up on it. Try aarp.org and carp.ca. Some disabled people are good with sit-down work like answering phones, doing administrative work, doing something on the computer, etc. Contact local disability organizations. My thinking is that these people, if they're not too angry or have gotten over their beef with life for giving them a lousy hand, will appreciate a job more than the average person would, therefore be better workers than average normal people. The local newspapers will charge money for you to place an ad. I say stick with Backpage, Kijiji, and Craigslist. Every college has an employment page on their website where employers can post free ads. Most of the time, you, as an employer, have to pay for the services of a recruiter and pay to get access to a website that has a bunch of resumes on it, a resume bank. Some professions have a national trade/professional organization with local chapters. Find the local chapter in your area and put an ad up on their website. Find your local Chamber of Commerce, chamberofcommerce.org, and put a free ad up there. If your field is a major offered at college, look through the list of clubs at your local college. If you find a club related to your field, send them an email asking them to post your ad up. Another thing is to go to the college building where your subject area is taught, put an ad up on the bulletin board somewhere in there. If there is an inbox for graduate students, put a copy of your ad in every slot. Young people are generally desperate for money and hungry to prove themselves. If you have a friend who works for a competing company, ask him or her if anyone is retiring or is looking for a job. Don't hire anybody cold. At least talk to them for 10 minutes to see where their head is at. If you like them, offer them the job. If you don't, tell them you got another guy to see about the job, then you'll decide who to hire. The truth is that you can learn more about a person in a 10-minute talk discussion interview than a resume will ever reveal. Resumes tell you what formal skills someone has, but they do not tell you the person's ability to act civilly with other people, their anger quotient, or how vain they are. You learn these things very quickly talking to someone. I've seen impeccable resumes, then I call the guy up and talk to him, and I know in about 2 minutes he's some self-centered prima donna who won't do an inch more work than he feels he must to satisfy the job requirements. I'm looking for somebody with a sense of dedication, not some pompous ass who will never go out of his way to do anything extra. The Western world is a culture of entitlement. Millions of young people think they are worth a lot more than they actually are. Weed these people out before you ever hire them. I've seen some really arrogant jerks in my day, and the funny thing is that they don't know they're jerks. They think they're cool, nice, friendly, capable workers doing a great job. I think it's common with the young generation. They grow up watching material excess on TV and think it will come easy to them. They think they deserve it without working too hard. Some young people are ambitious and know they must act humble and dedicated to get ahead, but a lot of young people have to learn over time through experience that they have to appease other people like a boss in order to get ahead. Most people over 35 know how the game works. Many people under 35 have an inflated sense of their value in the workforce. That's what being young is about, narcissism aka self-centeredness, so young workers are a gamble. You might get a good one, or you might get some asshole who can snow you in an interview then turn out to be a disaster. Howard Hughes hired all Mormons to be his inner circle. Find a Church of Latter-day Saints, phone them up, ask them if they know any members looking for work. Hiring website / the hire process. Books about hiring and firing are at #658.311 or HF5549.5 at the library. opm.gov/hiring toolkit. betterteam.com/hiring-process, how to streamline your hiring process. talenttech.com, hiring software. amicobooks.com. businessknowhow.com/manage/improve-hiring.htm. cch.com, 800-835-5224, Commerce Clearing. comprehensivehire.com. dol.gov, go to Law and Regs section. ehow.com/how_2180368_hire.html. hire-assist.com. hirebridge.com. hiregolden.com, recruiters. hirequality.ca. hireresults.ca. hiringsolutions.net. knowwhoyouhire.com, 800-818-8809. myemploymentguide.com/hiring_process_steps.asp. helpmehireright.com. shrm.org. The interviewer websites. esquiregroup.com/ask_job-seekers_qa.cfm. job-interview.net. job-website.info/job/ask-interview-job-question.html. bizinformer.com/50226711/the_best_ask_question_to_ask_job_candidate.php. microsoft.com/small business/resources/management/recruiting_staffing/don't_ask_these_questions.msbx. Chapter 2. Background checks prevent disasters. Background checks and checking references. The reason to both spend a few bucks to hire a database vendor to do a criminal background check and a credit check on someone you might want to hire and call up the references they give you on an application form is simply to save yourself the possibility of a lot of grief. A con artist has his con down, and that includes fooling people face to face in employment interviews. Anybody can psyche themselves up and come off good in an interview situation, but the only true indicator of a person's performance, barring able to see into their souls, is their track record. Past behavior is the best indicator of future performance. Most people know what the guy or gal on the other side of the desk wants, and they can deliver on cue, which is why I don't think interviews are enough. Sure, it's face-to-face contact which is the best way to judge somebody, but you have to get an idea of what this individual has done criminally and credit-wise, and what the people he put down as references really think about him. A lot of people, when called up as a reference check, will tell what they perceive to be the truth about the candidate, including his shortcomings. If the individual puts it down on his application form or resume, there is nothing illegal about checking up on references. If it's an especially sensitive job, why not put a pie on the payroll to see what he can dig up on the guy or gal through a routine general database or records search? There are generally two types of references: personal reference, work reference. Most people who know the candidate personally will be a friend and state as much, but working references will often be more straightforward about their relationship with the candidate. When you call references up, state who you are, state that you're calling about candidate X, ask if you can ask a few questions relating to work, then ask things like how long have they known candidate X, in what capacity, what was his job, how well did he do it, what are his strengths and weaknesses, what is his attitude like, how is he as a leader, how would you rate his work performance on a scale from 1 to 100, what is his motivating life force, what are his communication skills like. Would you hire him? Why or why not? Does he have any personal problems I should be aware of? Is there anything else you'd like to tell me about him? If you hire someone without doing a proper check, you could be later sued for negligent hiring. Suppose you hire a janitor for your school who is a convicted sex offender without doing a background check, and he lies on the application form, or worse, there is no question like this on the application for fear that it violates his privacy. 6 months later, he rapes one of the students. That's a lawsuit staring you in the face. If you're worried about invading the individual's privacy by investigating him, make up a disclosure form that you ask him to sign saying he authorizes you to do a background check and to check the references he gave you. To stay legal, keep your investigation limited to job performance and character-related questions. Verify all academic degrees anyone claims to have. Simply call the college they said they attended. There are services that do this, which I talk about in my education book. You can do criminal background checks on people at rapsheets.com for a few bucks per search. About 10 states have websites where you can access the criminal records of people you might want to investigate. Type people's names into search engines. Employee investigation / employee screening tests. Private investigators and pre-employment screening firms that do employment or pre-employment investigations for corporations are regulated by the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which means they can investigate an individual's credit history with a court order or his or her written consent, but both they and/or the company they work for are bound by law to provide the individual with certain disclosures, notices and authorizations aimed at protecting the prospective employee's rights. In general, these conditions are: notification to the employee that an investigation will be conducted. If adverse action will be taken against the employee as a result of the investigation, he or she must first be advised that adverse action is pending. At this time, the employee must be provided with a copy of the investigative report. Within a reasonable amount of time, the employee must be given notice that adverse action has been taken as a result of the investigation. The employee must be provided a copy of his rights under the FCRA with all written communications throughout the investigation. Some private investigator trade groups are lobbying to reduce the stringent regulations regarding employee investigations. You can get information on the Fair Credit Reporting Act by going to the Federal Trade Commission's website, ftc.gov, clicking onto the Business button, then going to the Fair Credit Reporting Act area. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is located at 15 U.S.C. 1681, ET Sec. Pre-employment screening service websites. Try hashtag 658.311 or HF5549 at the library for books about this aspect of employee hiring. NAPBS.com, National Association of Professional Background Screeners. VerificationsInc.com, Employment Screening Solutions. SuccessFactors.com, Employee Evaluation, Screening Tests, and Evaluations for Sale. Business.com. Employment-reference.com. ESRCheck.com, Employment Screening Resources. CheckMyReference.com. HireDimensions.com. InfoLinkScreening.com. Hire-Safe.com, Pre-employment background checking. HRShopper.com, background checks for employment. MyReferences.com, employment verification and reference checking. Work history verification. This is for employers looking to check up on people applying for work. EmploymentVerificationGuide.com. oursbackgrounds.com/verification.htm. freerecords.registry.com/check-employment-history.htm. myjobhistory.com/howitworks.asp. Affix our seal of verification to your resume. Your work history, education, and credentials are independently verified and instantly available online for employers. ncqa.org/program/accreditation/certification/cvo/cvotext.htm, check on credentials. resumeverify.com. selectinformation.com, investigation firm specializing in pre-employment screening. staftrack.com/work.htm, employee screening. usis.com/commercial-services/retail/history verification.htm. Professional credential verification services. There are private degree checking services out there. You present them with the name of a school and name of an individual. For $50 or so, they check to see if it's a real school accredited by a government-sanctioned accrediting agency and get a transcript of all courses the individual took there. Be wary of phony degree checking services advertising on the internet. Anyone can set up a website and tell their clients anything they want or what they want for a fee, even if it's not the truth. aacrao.org, American Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers. NACES.org, National Association of Credential Evaluation Services. oursbackgrounds.com/verification.htm. edverify.com, 877-338-3743. usis.com, US Investigations Services. verires.com. Background check websites. Ask these places for public records checks, which should include criminal, marital, and divorce records. You can also use them to locate your own marriage or divorce records and get a copy. Search cstems.net, free links to public records databases. About backgroundcheck.com. Uniquebackgroundchecks.com affiliates ucces.net. Americanbackground.com. Backgroundzarcher.com. Background-us.com, 800-697-7189. Checkthatbackground.com. Personbackgroundcheck.com. Public-records-now.com. Chapter 3. Hiring Issues 1. Affirmative Action Plan. Affirmative action plans are policies geared to both hire and promote minorities including women in order to diversify the workplace, to make it multicultural and disabled friendly, not just a bunch of white males with a token black or two running the place. There are several reasons companies have affirmative action plans. Companies with 50 or employees and at least $50,000 in government contracts must have an affirmative action plan. Certain public sector employers such as school boards are required to have affirmative action plans. Affirmative action plans are sometimes imposed on companies who have been convicted of discrimination in a class action lawsuit. Some companies have affirmative action plans because they are morally conscientious. Some companies do it because it makes them look good to have a diverse workforce. If your company is legally required to develop an affirmative action plan, you will probably get a law firm or consulting firm to oversee its formulation. Under federal equal opportunity laws, affirmative action laws and state laws, companies are required to keep personnel activity data which breaks down employees and applicants in categories of race and sex. The government wants these if it decides to audit you for compliance of both discrimination and affirmative action laws. It all gets muddled and complicated. Go to the federal enforcement agencies in these areas. Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, eeoc.gov. Refer to the Uniform Guidelines on Employee Selection Procedures. Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs, OFP. Company Manual/Employee Handbook. The best way to protect yourself legally from your employees is to have as detailed a company manual as you can for standard of conduct and job responsibilities. Employees are well advised to read their company manual and know exactly where they stand on all issues. Even if your company is not that big, make up a simple manual that makes everything crystal clear. Give it to employees to help them learn about the rules and protect you legally in the event that a situation will come up down the line. The biggest rule is to practice what you preach. Don't put rules in that you can't practice or honor. Don't just buy a cookie-cutter rulebook or software package and use it. Be specific. This informs employees what's expected of them both to help get the job done more efficiently and to make all the rules and legal issues crystal clear. Think of the company manual in two basic categories. Human Resource Issues/Employee Handbook. Company Policy Handbook. Human resources are basic logistic issues like paycheck, benefits, vacation time, medical insurance, education benefits, union relations, etc. Company policy tells the employee how to act, what to do, how to dress in some cases and rules of conduct. Draft up a personnel manual covering all the relevant issues in your organization, give one to each individual, have them sign for it, then tell them they will have to sign a form in 7 days, ample time for them to read it, stating they have read it, understand it, and will live by these rules. You could even test them on it if you want. A company policy manual is good for both sides. It spells out what the company expects of its employees and what they will get from the company. A well-defined manual keeps everything clear. If you're really good, you will spell out the state and federal laws you're following and give addresses where employees can get more information on these laws and also who to contact if they have grievances against your company on specific issues. This way, you will look good should it ever come to pass that an employee tries to sue you on some point of law. Have a human resource person and your lawyer work together to draft it up. Hold a meeting with your top managers and ask them for points to include in your manual. After the first draft is done, hire some English literature or business students to critique it and add ideas to it. Get ideas by perusing other company websites or getting a hold of other company websites. Make the text as simple as possible. Use lots of titles and subtitles to make it easy to find specific information. Edit the manual at least twice to make it as simple and clear as possible. Give it to 2 different people to edit. You could get a secretary to do it or hire a freelance writer. Make your table of contents and index as detailed as possible. Start it with a welcome letter from the boss, then move into a brief history and background, the company vision along with an organizational chart with photographs and basic job descriptions of managers. Clearly list the company holidays each year. State the amount of vacation days and sick days and what happens to these days if they're not used. They're often converted to cash. For vacation pay, what you don't use in any year, you get paid for. With sick leave, most companies have a lifetime cap of 1,300 hours or so of unused sick leave that they won't pay you for when you leave the job. You either use them for a legitimate business or they're gone forever. In any case, run it by an employment lawyer to check it over before you print it up for the employees. Put a suggestion form at the end that the employees can tear out and write feedback about the manual and other ideas if they want. Make everybody sign for the manual, then sign a form 2 weeks later stating they have read it and understand it. Books about the company manual are at #658.45 at the library. Company Rulebook Major Points. The SBA at sba.gov have prepared an article called Pointers on Preparing an Employee Handbook. Some of the major points are: welcome message, company history and vision, equal employment opportunity / affirmative action statement, employment rules, employee rules, job responsibility, terms of employment, job responsibility, probationary period, grounds for termination, resignation procedure, severance pay, dress code, hours of work, chain of command, clocking in and out, personal evaluation report, probationary period, rate of pay, shift premiums, health and safety, procedures for complaints, benefits, overtime, raises, promotions, expense account, holidays, vacations, sick leave, maternity leave, paternity leave, health and life insurance, medical benefits, parking, training and education, Christmas bonus, retirement savings plan, pension, profit sharing plan, jury duty, military reserve leave, unemployment insurance, standard of conduct, absence from work, attendance at social functions mandatory or elective, dealing with the media, dress code, drug use at work, drug and alcohol use off the job, general behavior, late for work, laziness on company time, lunch, other breaks, personal telephone and internet usage while at work, personal work on company time, responsible to read the company manual and abide by it, treatment of customers, workplace romance, legal matters, equal employment opportunity guidelines, sexual harassment, religious customs on the job, political affiliations, political or religious preaching on the job, child support garnishing of wages, safety and health, safety rules, emergency procedure, return to work policy, drug-free workplace, government mandated employee benefits, FICA, Social Security, unemployment, workers' compensation, military reserve duty, maternity leave, time off to vote, jury duty, state laws for employees, insurance, health, life short-term disability long-term disability, employee-company relations, union management relations, passing knowledge on to employees, company newsletter, Employee complaints. Company website for employees. Suggestion box. Bulletin board. Special services. Employee discounts. Monthly newsletter. Credit union. Education plan. On-site cafeteria. On-site gym. Annual social events. Bowling league. Soccer team. Overall, some of the possible topics for a company manual are as follows. Accidents. Address change. Advance in pay, affirmative action, attendance/absenteeism/lateness. Automobile parking. Awards. Bereavement leave. Bonding with workers. Bulletin boards. Business conference. Change of status. Communications. Complaints. Confidential information. Conflict of interest. Counseling. Credit union. Death of employee. Demotion. Disability. Discharge/termination. Dress/appearance. Drug-free workplace. Education, A2. Employment agreements approvals. Employee assistance programs. Employee services. Equal employment opportunity. Exempt/non-exempt classification. Exit interview. Expense account, travel, accommodations, meal. Flexible work schedule. Food service. Garnishment. Gifts or gratuities. Harassment. Health and welfare plans. Holidays. Hours of work. Independent contractor. Identification, employee. Insurance, life, accidental, death, dental. Internal assignment. Job descriptions. Job postings. Jury duty. Leaves and absences, disability. Leave, military. Leave. Pregnancy. Library. Lost and found. Meal allowance. Medical and dental appointments. Medical approval. Medical records. Memberships. Military reserve training, annual. Minors working. Non-union employee relations. Objectives, company. Opinion surveys. Organizational charts. Orientation of new employees. Outside employment. Overtime payment. Passes. Patents. Performance appraisal, employee. Personal time off. Personnel records, privacy, release of information. Policy and procedure manual. Political activities of employees. Probationary period, new employee. Profit sharing. Promotion. Purchases, employee. Radios. Recognition, employee. Recreation, activities. Recruiting/hiring. Relocation of employees. Retirement plan. Return to work restrictions after medical illness. Safety. Salary continuation plan. Savings bonds. Separation. Service awards. Severance pay. Sick leave. Smoking. Social security. Solicitations. Status. Definitions of employment. Suggestion plan. Telephones. Termination. Training and development. Transfer. Travel insurance. Tuition aid. Unemployment compensation tax. Uniforms. Union relations. Visitors/tours. Voting, time off to. Wage/salary administration. Work area cleanliness. Workers' compensation. Books about the company manual are at #658.45 at the library. Employment contract / can you negotiate terms or just be thankful you got the job? Most of the time, they tell you what the employment contract is and you sign it. If you were recruited and you got credibility, you can dictate some terms but don't get too greedy. Everybody is replaceable. Typical factors in an employment contract are: starting date, your exact job responsibilities, term of employment, compensation, salary, bonuses, stock options, employee benefits, company car, club memberships, loans, profit sharing, etc. Termination conditions, severance compensation, death benefits, disability provision, amendment clause, probation period, your chain of command, your benefits and perks, medical, insurance, pension, car, expense account, etc. Guarantee of employment for a specified period of time. Termination rules on both sides, like they each must give timely notice. Secrecy provisions. Job title. Changes in job duties. Salary. Signing bonus if any. Raises. Notice of contract renewal or non-renewal. Parking space. Vacation time per year. Severance package should you be terminated without cause. Just about anything else. All employment contracts are open and negotiable. Although the employer usually has it all set up, a good employee can make demands and include them in the contract. Some employment contracts are negotiated with hired guns on each side trying to get the best deal for their clients. The bottom line is always salary. Be tactful but get all the exact details so they don't snow you later or leave you hangin'. Compromise, reach a common ground. Expect benefits. Offer a renegotiation clause within a year or two. You don't have to accept it right away. You can think about it first. Don't overestimate your value. Everybody's expendable. If you're good, you can negotiate. Get a good definition of your job description in writing, keep it current by updating it from time to time with your boss, and keep a paper trail of relevant things that happen to you on the job, both good and bad should you ever need it in a tough situation where they want to get rid of you. Books about employee issues are at hashtag 331.25 or HF5549 at the library. Try hashtag 658.311 or HF5549.5 at the library for books about recruiting employees from a manager's point of view. Also go to the American Management Association's website amicombooks.com for books about the subject. Negotiate an employment contract websites. careerjournal.com/job-hunting/negotiate. CIO.com, how_to_negotiate_an_employment_contract. collegerecruiter.com, how to negotiate a signing bonus. ehau.com/how_1379_negotiate-employment-contract.html. employmentdigest.net. en.wikipedia.org/wiki/employment_contract. girossman.com, legal advice in employment and labor law issues, wrongful dismissal cases, employment contracts, and human rights. legalmatch.com/law-library/article/employment-contract-law.html. lifehacker.com/software/career/how-to-negotiate-a-great-work-grade-559.php. maduflaw.com/employment, executive compensation agreement employment contract negotiation. Chapter 4. Hiring issues 2. New hires database for child support cheats. Federal law requires every state government to set up a database that documents all people newly hired in the state. This is done in order to track people trying to escape child support obligations. After an employee is hired, an employer has 20 days to register the new employee in the new hires database used to track child support cheats. acf.hhs.gov/program/cse/new hire/employer/private/nh/new hire. Probationary period. There are probationary periods for disciplining existing employees and probationary periods for the new employed. In my opinion, take all employees for a test drive. Put them on probation for the first year. The candidate must prove that he or she is worthy of the job by doing it for at least several months, day after day. Legally speaking, rejection during the probationary period is not termination. It's considered part of the hiring process and the employee is rejected. Just as an employer is free to let an employee go during the probationary period, the employee is also free to leave. This can be a time to evaluate whether or not the job is as good as it was portrayed to be. All new employees should be told, in writing, that they will not achieve the status of regular employee until this probationary period has been successfully completed. In many cases, new employees do not get the normal benefits such as medical care, insurance, etc., but they do get vacation times and sick days. Tax credit for hiring welfare to work folk. If you hire people on welfare that the government is trying to get into the workforce, some state governments subsidize up to 1/2 of the wages you pay them. Contact them for more information. On a federal level, the Work Opportunity Tax Credit and the Welfare to Work Tax Credit gives employers benefits. Call the IRS at 800-829-3676, irs.gov, and get Form 8850, Pre-Screening Notice and Certification Request for the Work Opportunity and Welfare to Work Credits. Get Form 9061, Individual Characteristics Form, from the Department of Labor, 202-219-9092, deolata.gov/whatc. Welfare to Work Partnership. 1250 Connecticut Avenue, NW. Washington, D.C. 20036. 202-955-3005. Fax, 202-955-1087. welfaretowork.org.